That will always be one of my favorite songs. It's If I Had No Loot by Tony. And we just got Tony to answer the phone. And we are the Northland Sports Page. Thankfully, we've got the loot of some great sponsors. Let's start with them.
We do absolutely, Brian. Let's start with Hoops Brewing, ABS Auto Solutions, Stewart's Bike Sports and Trophies, Comfort Systems of Duluth, Advantage Emblem and Screen Printing, Kohler Toyota and Kohler Hyundai, Mike Regan at Christensen Group Insurance, Assisted Living Locators. You can reach them at www.assistedlivinglocators.org/Duluth. Kraus Heating and Cooling, your carrier, HVAC authorized dealer. You know, Brian, last week when we finally got cold, it was one of those times when you went down and you patted your HVAC unit on the head and said,
just
thank
to make
you very
sure,
much. Yep. Mount Royal Bottle Shop, the Blackwoods Group, including their locations on London Road, Tavern on the Hill, in Two Harbors, and in Proctor, Arola Architecture Studio.
So again, we are very grateful for our great sponsors. We are very grateful for this guy as well. We've talked a lot of football today, a lot of NFL. I'm sure he'll have some opinions as well, but he's cornered the market on success in the Arena League because he's got the defending champs coming into this season.
He most certainly does. And how much have we learned about not just that sport, but football in general, talking to Tony over the last year?
Absolutely. So I want to bring in Tony O'Neill, the head coach of the Duluth Harbor Monsters, because I'm curious what off-season Tony will be like, because in-season Tony is pretty intense. Let's see what we get today. Coach, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. How's everybody going?
Always good. Always good to talk to you. Now, the season in terms of calendar with game one is still a ways away, but preparation is in full swing. Open tryouts coming soon, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we have our first tryouts coming out in the cities January 11th.
Oh, right around the corner.
I was going to say, our timing is wonderful. Speaking of timing, you've got some timing of guys coming back, too. We're going to run this thing back to a certain extent.
Yeah. We graduated a lot of guys to higher level leagues, which is the goal always. Mm-hmm. And then we have a few guys coming back in to build the core.
So talk about some of the guys coming back, because they are very familiar names, obviously off a championship team. Nathan Cromie will return. His injury recovery will be a story. Hassan Brockman was kind of the secret weapon down the stretch. KJ Felder, I don't know anybody who met KJ Felder that doesn't love KJ Felder.
Yeah, everybody so far that you named is going back. I recently got KJ, though, to the IFL, which is the Pristine League.
Oh.
Kind of like the NFL of indoor.
Yeah.
So he'll be going to Arizona to start, but he may, if he doesn't get to the UFL, which is that outdoor league, or CFL, Canadian Football League, then he'll be coming back at the end of his IFL season.
That's going to be an odd feeling, because you always have the goals in mind and you want the success of others, but I would miss him if he's not here. So KJ Felder, I hope to see you, but I understand if I don't. But speaking of seeing, what do you hope to see from athletes that are interested in trying out for this team? Because, again, it's going to be year two. Now we know what it takes. Now we know what it's like. Last year, I don't think people did and just thought, well, I'll give this a go. What kind of shape, what kind of condition do athletes need to be in to succeed here?
Pristine shape, for one, and then their ability to display IQ on the defense side, understanding concepts and understanding that they can move on a 50-yard field, 25 in width. We're just looking for ballers. We're not going to be tricked or bamboozled this season. I'm more stern and more set on the standard of play of how we ended, and that needs to continue.
I can appreciate that, because down the stretch, you certainly set the standard, obviously winning the title in this league. The league's going to look a little different. More teams are in. Are there other changes as well? Because I've seen social media posts from you about potential rule changes. The game itself might look a little different.
Yeah. We're moving from 6-man to 7-man, so 7-on-7 now. And I think they did a little bit of tweaks to what can be done on offense and what cannot be done. I'm still waiting on the rule book to drop in January, so I guess we'll cross that path when we get here. But, yeah, man, we're just we're rolling. We're rolling. We're definitely rolling. Ideas are already being presented. Playbooks are already being drawn up. So,
that actually answers some questions I had, because I wondered what's the off-season like for you. I know you've got the restaurant with Jamrock, but how much of your mind, how much of your time is already invested in Harbor Monsters Season 2?
Season 2 began the day after the championship. It doesn't really stop. Once you win something like that, your inbox gets flooded with potential players who want to come and play for you, and you start trying to build and set the mold. We understand that what we did towards the end, especially on the defense side of the ball, teams are going to try to mimic, and we're ready for it. So That's the good thing about playing chess, not checkers.
I can appreciate that. Tony O'Neill certainly did that last season as we chat with him. The defending champion Duluth Harbor Monsters will be back on the field come May. But again, open tryouts are coming up in the cities in January. Dave Cook, I know you've got lots of questions. That's never new when it comes to talking to Tony.
No, I love talking to Tony about football. The first question, Tony, you talked about the standard being set and some of the guys coming back. When you have an open tryout like that, are you bringing them down too to put eyes on players in case they see something that might be something that fell out of your eyesight, whatnot?
So that's the weird thing that's going on right now. It seems like the Harbor Monsters have their own set of rules when it comes to the league. We're not allowed to have our players there. Oh. Although if you look at other tryouts, their players are there.
Yeah.
So they're already pushing buttons that they don't want to push. I don't think that they learned from last year not to provoke. But it's we will have enough coaches on staff this year. One thing that I didn't want to do this year is take on the role of defensive line coach, DB coach, linebacker coach. So we got more position coaches on board this year that can help keep eye out for talent. And we're not really formulating the laser time 40-yard dash and the agility drills aren't for us per se. It's more for their bios, because what we learned when we moved these guys up, the scouts and the head coaches wanted to know right away what their 40 times were, what their shuttle times were. That's a big thing for them. For us, it being on the 50-yard field, it doesn't really matter because the 40 wouldn't matter. You wouldn't really open up that much. Yep. But we are definitely looking forward to seeing what talent comes out there, what IQ comes out there.
So Brian asked that question earlier, and you talked about IQ. What kind of things can a player who is, super anxious? I mean, this tryout's a big deal to them. We know these guys have, dedicated their lives to the game. What kind of things, IQ-wise, can they show a coaching staff in such a short period of time?
Just their ability to adjust, to be coached up. Not many people, you can tell a guy, hey, I want you to squat, heels at 7 as a corner or heels at 6 as a corner. I want you to squat, but anything vertical, I want you to go with it. If it doesn't go vertical, I want you to stay underneath, and you just watch their reaction and see what they do. You can kind of tell what you have right then and there, their understanding of coverages. From the offensive side, just their understanding of concepts, where to be, why this route is developing the way it's developing. Those are the things that we're looking for.
So that segues actually really well into what I was going to ask, and you might have covered some of the answer already, but Dave mentioned a short amount of time for players. Tony, you're a great football mind. That's not breaking news. So my question was, and again, maybe you just alluded to it, how much time do you need before you go, I've got something over there, or this kid isn't going to cut it? Is it something where you watch a complete tryout and you're tossing and turning over a player, or is it instantaneous, moving on or moving with this guy?
Yeah, it's more instinct. You can tell once the 7-on-7s and the 1-on-1s happen who you have, what kind of player he is. If he's defeated, if he gives up a big play, how he responds on the second play after giving up something big, or how he responds after doing something outstanding, if he's satisfied or if he's still hungry to go out there and do more. Like, these are all things that you can tell as a coach in what you're bringing into your organization.
No doubt about that. Speaking of the organization, I know you said that Season 2 preparation began the day after winning it all on Season 1. However, as your public address announcer, I can still bask in Season 1 a little bit. Did you take any time to do that and realize what a great first summer this was for this team?
For the organization standpoint, I was happy to, get our owner, Brent, the trophy, of course. That kind of solidifies my job in hopes that I'm being brought back. But for me, I'm not really hung up on it. It was the inaugural season. It didn't really mean much to me. We want to see what we can do Season 2. That's now that the target's on our back, everybody knows the team to beat. So that's what we're looking forward to.
I like that. And I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I want to explore, at least tiptoe into it, because you mentioned, maybe the Harbor Monsters have their own set of rules, and I'll just leave that there. But different leagues professionally certainly have villainous teams that have success that their fans love, but other fans around the country maybe don't. I think of the Yankees. I think of the Lakers. I think of the New York Rangers at times. NFL, I'm not sure. The Patriots had their time. The Packers are obviously mine, but I'm a Minnesota kid. Do you feel like the Duluth Harbor Monsters in the Arena League already are, of course you're a Harbor Monsters fan because they win all the time, but maybe you're already the villain of this league and you like that?
I don't mind being the villain. It's for me, it's more so come take the trophy. If you didn't like what we did last year, come take it from us this year. It's not so much us having our own set of rules. It's more so the league is holding us to standard. When you look at it, you don't see NFL coaches making memes and jokes and stuff on social media. So I guess I have to grow. Growth was had over the off season. I paid a lot of attention to that. But moving forward, we're just going to focus on getting the things done the right way, handling business the right way.
Speaking of handling business, we increased from 6-on-6 to 7-on-7. I don't think you're going to give away your secrets here, and I don't expect you to. But how does that change the operation of how you diagram things for this football team?
So the original way of flag football, which is what this league is based on, is 7-on-7. So the concepts are always going to be just that. And from a player's perspective, myself and the offense coordinator, we play in a 7-on-7 league anyway. And that's what kind of gave us an advantage over most of these coaches last season. So we have that knowledge of the game already and what to kind of expect. So we're just piggybacking off what we already do and what we have fun with.
Brian, I think it's interesting. We talked for a second about standards and whatnot, and you hear with really good coaches, there's the Belichick way, there was a Landry way. Right now with the Vikings, the KOC way, right? I think that sometimes coaching and the style and their standard, their personal standard, really becomes a drawing point. And I think that there's players that listen to Tony and the burn that's underneath everything he says, the passion that's there, and they understand.
I would agree with that, and quite frankly, I would say the players who don't simply aren't there.
They're not there.
So those that are ready for the Tony O'Neill way, again, open tryouts are coming. Tony, I'm going to ask you just for kind of the journalistic basics of this. Tell us again, tryouts are coming, the who, what, when, where, that kind of thing for people who are interested.
So the information can be found at the DuluthMonsters.com. We are heading down to the cities January 11th from 2 to 7, so we're giving them more than enough time to display and showcase what they have to offer to earn their spot on this team. Nothing will be given, everything will be earned, and to show their why. And then we'll have another one here in Duluth in I believe February. Time to be determined.
That'll be great. So tell me this, and I know you're going to say, well, Brian, I'm not going to be able to answer that till I've been there, but just give me kind of your estimate. When you have these tryouts in January, are you anticipating dozens? Are we talking about hundreds? How many different individuals are you going to think you're going to have to sift through and make roster decisions?
Well, that just depends. We got to keep in mind that Eau Claire now has a team, and a lot of these guys that we cut the first year are going to try to roll over to them. A lot of these guys that we dismissed, they're going to have their reasons on why they got dismissed and try to spread that narrative through social media. So it just really depends. You never know what's going to turn out. We just got to show up as coaches and be ready to coach.
One of the guys I think is running back as well. In fact, two of them in this running back concept. I thought I saw on social media. I'm going to hope with a live on-air production meeting here that I'm not wrong, but I think I saw Josh Murray returning and Lavelle Spruce as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what do you expect from those two guys? Because they made major impacts early, but obviously weren't as big a part of it late. We talk about tryouts, we talk about returners, but you're a big guy that talks about spots aren't guaranteed.
Yeah, nothing's a guarantee. Even the guys that are returning know that they have the opportunity to return because they help contribute to be a part of the championship team. But if they're not holding weight, then we got to do our jobs as coaches. And put the best person in that position. But we're definitely have high hopes for Murray. He was leading the league in picks and tackles before we separated. And then with Lavelle, he was leading the league in sacks before his knee injury. So we're hoping that they're coming back and healthy 100% and ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. No doubt your team will be. No doubt your fan base will be. What did you think of the way Duluth showed out? It took a little while to get it going, but the playoffs at the deck, it was hot in terms of your play. It was hot in terms of the building, but the fans had a good time.
Yeah, I think Duluth now knows that they have something special here with us, and they're moving forward in a way that we'll continue to support a good quality team, and we'll continue to be a part of this community and do what we need to do to make sure that continues to happen.
Yeah, Brian, that's as good as anything. Their community presence is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely has been top-notch. Speaking of top-notch, that describes you, Mr. Tony O'Neill. It's been a minute. Been too long to talk to you. I enjoyed it. Thanks for the time today.
Oh, no problem, man. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. We will see you soon, either on a field or I hope at Jamrock. You want to give us a little download of the menu as well?
I'm taking a R&R today. It's been, I've been running everything by myself, so I'm used to a team setting, but just having to do everything on my own is a little different. But I will allude to this, though. I am putting my name in a hat for a high school team that's about to open up.
Very nice. Oh. So we will keep our ears open for more Tony O'Neill news. I will always talk to you any opportunity I get. I love you, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Tony.
All right. Love you back. Yep. Take care, guys.
All right. That's Harbor Monsters head coach Tony O'Neill. Up next, speaking of high school teams, we go to a guy that knows a lot about the ones in Proctor.
We most certainly do, and a dear friend of ours.
A little Hey Teddy when we come back. Stick around on the Northland Sports page. We'll be right back.
Experience holiday cheer at Tanger Outlets with savings up to 70% off your favorite brands. From fragrances to accessories and the latest styles. Discover the best gifts for everyone on your list. Save big at Nike Factory Store, Michael Kors, Under Armour, Coach, Polo Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade New York, and so many more. Unwrap the best at Tanger Outlets. Hundreds of brands, endless gifting options. Plan your trip at Tanger.com.
Back. A little Hey Teddy as we get prepared for Ted Kiefat of RailsTV. Talk a little Proctor athletics. High school athletics in general is a strength of this guy. It's a strength of ours as well. Dave Cook will work a lot of hockey today. I'll work a lot of basketball. We'll have high school hockey on these airwaves. The man, the myth, the legend, Tom Hansen will fill in for me today.
Isn't that something?
The fans get an upgrade.
That's something when we get to say a legend is going to be on the mics, eh?
Absolutely. So high school sports, something we love to talk about. Covered Hermantown's victory over East Grand Forks on the ice last night. Proctor hockey's played well. Proctor basketball played really well.
Yeah, no, the Proctor programs are starting to move in the right directions. Basketball's been good. The girls hockey team is good. The boys hockey team's getting better.
And what's been great for us is the ability to broadcast a lot of it this year. Again, check out our winter sports schedule at northlandfan.com. But a guy who has maybe the busiest winter sports schedule in addition to ours joins us right now. Ted Kiefat, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, boys, and happy Saturday to you.
Absolutely. Happy Saturday to you as well. And speaking of happy, Rails fans have got to be pretty happy lately. I know we cover a lot of hockey, but I want to talk about the basketball programs because the girls, Matt Solbrick's team is very, very good. And the boys, I love the fact that they were able to come out on the right side of a rivalry early. They took it to Hermantown early in the season.
Yeah, one of those home games that happened in the fall on a day that we didn't have school, so we didn't even have an opportunity to broadcast that one. But, yeah, Cole Lipinski doing a great job over there, got a great team, and, they're coming out fighting 3-0 as we went into our second game the other night. They hadn't started our third game, I'm sorry. They hadn't started 2-0 since the 04-05 season.
It is great to see them back in the right direction. I do enjoy that program. Of course, we enjoy a lot of the schools around here, but we're going to specify with Proctor right now because, Ted, quite frankly, you're not one of those guys I can complain to and say, man, I've done 6 games this week. I got this many basketball games, this many hockey games, what have you. Your response usually is welcome to my life. And quite frankly, we talk about it because it's so relatable. But it's because your program, RailsTV, does just about everything. There are some listeners out there not familiar. Fill us in.
RailsTV is in its 9th year. It's a student-run program for broadcasting everything from our sports, theater, band, choir, school board meetings, Hoghead Parade for the first time this last year, kind of jumping in anywhere we can to get kids real-world experience to, if they want to, whether go into filmmaking or go into broadcasting behind the camera, in front of the camera, as a voice, and so on.
So I can appreciate that. Talk to me a little bit about, Dave mentioned it earlier in the show, everything costs money these days. We know that, and you guys could benefit from some fundraising. One of our great sponsors is going to get very much involved in it. We obviously want to plug that today. Give us kind of the who, what, when, where, why, because this week coming up on Wednesday was initially Friday. Newsflash, it's now Wednesday. One of our sponsors, Blackwoods, is getting involved, but tell us how they're helping you and what for.
Yeah, so our broadcast and film kids, they're part of a group called STN, Student Television Network. It's a international program that lets kids compete against each other in a working conference Last year we were in Long Beach, California. This year it'll be in Tampa, Florida. And they're, like I said, kids from all over the world. And it gives them real-world experience in the aspect of meeting deadlines. They get a prompt in the morning, depending on what category, whether it's filmmaking, music video making, broadcast stuff, whatever. They get a prompt, and then they got basically 6 hours to figure out what they're going to do with that prompt, get it shot, get it edited, and get it turned in, and then to compete against their peers. And this coming Wednesday on the 11th, Blackwoods and Proctor is partnered with us, and we're so happy to have them to help our students from 3 to 10. We will be getting 15% of all revenue through the restaurant to help us, keep prices down so that we can actually get all our kids there, because not every kid can afford to do everything. But, when you're talking about prospective jobs and careers and their futures, we want to try to make sure we never have to say no. So a lot of great partnerships, and this newest one with Blackwoods is just super amazing for our program.
Without a doubt, Blackwoods has been great for us in this show as well. Dave, you and I are Tavern and London Road guys. I think next Wednesday, if you're free, I know I am, we got to venture out to Proctor instead.
We got to get to Proctor and help the guys out.
Did you hear what this conference is for? About meeting deadlines. You should go.
Yeah, right. No doubt. That's exactly what I should do. Hey, you know what the fun thing though, Brian, is, and Ted and I and you have had this conversation. I'm on the board of the Upper Midwest Film Organization, right? And bringing film and all that back into our area and making a run with it, right? And Ted's kids, the kids that come out of RailsTV, the skills they come out with are almost film ready.
Right.
Right.
How jealous are you that everybody says, different age groups will say, we didn't have that when I was your age. Now that's us when we look at these broadcast opportunities.
Right. Because these kids can operate the machinery, right? They can do the camera work. They can do the sound work. What they need to do is learn how to do that on a set. And that's part of what the Upper Midwest Film Organization is about, teaching the set piece. So Ted's kids, we talk about kids that go into carpentry class and become carpenters, right? We talk about kids that are in mechanics class and they become mechanics. The goal is Ted's kids come out ready for production, and there are from television stations to radio stations and now film, and they can stay here and make that kind of money. And there's just not enough programs like Ted's, and Ted's is super successful.
Absolutely. We're chatting with Ted Kiefat, Ted with RailsTV, and Dave has mentioned in this way Ted's kids many times, and that's a great title because obviously we're all about high school athletics, helping high school students, but RailsTV isn't limited to high school students. I know doing some RailsTV work already this year, Dave and I developed a friendship with a sixth grader. We got young kids helping out.
Yeah, absolutely. Try to get them started young. I teach sixth graders, and, I always put it out there. Hey, if you're ever interested, you want to try it out, you want to look at it. And, we got a couple of them this year that are super cool. You guys got to meet Griffin, who's an amazing little sixth grader who's just on it, Skylar and a few others that have really jumped in. And, I'm going to lose 10 seniors this year that have been with me since they got, as sixth graders, but also in the high school program. And, you got to kind of keep funneling through. And it is an earmark type program, if you will. One of those things where it's something you really want to have an idea that, oh, wow, this is super interesting, not just I'd like to try that. And so trying to get them started young and get them into that piece so that when they get to high school, they go, this is a path I want to do. And now they've had that career. Dave knows a lot about that with everything he does is that, try to get a career in front of an individual and see if they can grab onto it and then make it what they want it to be, whether it's a department, whatever. You talked about UMFO, great program with Ricky and Sherry over there. And I just got to toot a horn for just a minute, boys. I know you're on a schedule, but we just completed a contest about 3 weeks ago with STN. It was called the STN Challenge. I had 3 groups. One group did a music video, one group did a silent film, and one group did a short movie, everything 3 minutes or less. 886 entries over 20 categories. Wow. And RailsTV, Proctor High School got their second place in a silent film and got acknowledgement. And these are kids that 2 of them have been with my program for a couple or for their high school career, but the other three in the group, this is their first time, and our film class is only 3.75 of a semester new, and they're already doing this and getting to make their path, if you will.
That's beautiful. And Ted, hang on just a second. You said you wanted to toot a horn. Let me give you the best one. How about that for the horn right there? Dave Cook, go ahead.
Let's go.
I think that Ted hit it on the head when we're talking about students. And listen, we've been talking about this with high school athletes forever, is you put them into a spot to see how to get their skills, talents, and interests combined into a career path, right? Proctor School does that well. All kinds of schools in our region do that well. But I have some exposure with Proctor, and the opportunities that they get their kids to get their feet wet into something, and if they want to go for it, they can take classes all the way up through graduation that'll help get them there. And I know as somebody that tries to get kids into the next level, working with the kids from Proctor is always a blessing because of that.
No doubt about that. So, Ted, that's kind of what I want to ask you, because there are a lot of facets to jobs in broadcasting, jobs in communication. You talked about behind the camera, in front of the camera, production, on-air play-by-play. Now, you're talking to a guy that never had the dream of being a professional athlete for obvious reasons, but knew he wanted to be a play-by-play guy since he was about 7. Kids these days, what are they most interested in? Do they want to be on the mic? Do they want to be on the camera? Do they want to be doing sound? What do you find is most interested for kids these days?
And what I'm seeing is, it's a very small handful that want to have their voice out there. And I think that's just more of a fear thing that, once they do it that first time, they'll get over it. But most of the kids right now, they want to be on that production side. They want to be on that editing side. They want to be on the story writing side. They want to put it together for somebody else to go put together, and bring their vision to life. We just had RMS, a company from California, do some training with us by Zoom, and the first question they asked is, "What does everybody want to do?" And the answers that they got were, a lot of them were writer, production, editing, so that behind the camera, work that nobody else really gets to see, that brings those stories to life, is kind of where that large number is at.
Now, Dave talked about getting kids to the next level. Do we need to encourage them to take to the mic? Because my voice, Dave's voice, your voice, Tim Roweeder's voice, we're not going to go forever. We got to pass the torch to somebody.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the big thing is, and it's trying to get them out in front of that mic that first time and getting those butterflies to go away, which I don't know about you guys, but I have butterflies every time I start a broadcast.
Every single time.
There. Right. And it's nothing that's ever going to go away, but it's something that we can, start to put in our brain that, we got this. And I have a student in Tanner Hargraves. He's one of my sophomores, and he came up to me the other day and said, I really want to try doing some color commentary. What can I do? And we talked about go back and look at some of our old games and turn the volume down and, start doing some color commentary on what you see and do some research so that you know who and why you're talking about them. And so I think it's just that matter, just give them that opportunity and get them to understand that it's okay to make this mistake because nobody knows the script that's in our head. So
100%.
It's not like they're going to know if we messed up. And the other big thing that I always tell the kids, if your family, or not your family, but your friends or anybody on the outside come make fun of you about it, like, you messed up, go, okay, come try it, because it's not the easiest thing in the world, but you can make it yours and make a career out of it.
Well, and to be fair, making fun of people because they messed up, some people make a very good radio show out of that. Dave and I have been doing that for over 7 years now. But Ted, you gave great advice because you talk about turning the volume down and giving it a shot on your own. I've done that. In fact, I did that with video games where I was doing the play-by-play, but I was also playing. So I don't know about the popularity of sports video games these days, but believe it or not, it was a teaching tool for me.
Well, yeah, and actually right now we're trying to get a esports thing going at Proctor, which one of the largest broadcasting areas right now is the play-by-play for esports. So, yeah, you hit that right on the head. That's a huge avenue that gets these kids a little more comfortable because they're already, like you say, doing that in their head or doing it out loud while they're playing. And now it becomes a comfort thing. And as they get into those pieces, now they can transfer that into a baseball game, into a basketball game, into a hockey game, as long as they already have that confidence that, hey, I can do this as long as I do a little bit of homework and I have my ducks in a row to do it right.
That's absolutely correct. Confidence goes a long way in just about anything, but certainly in broadcasting. Before we go too much further, because we got about 5 minutes left with you, Ted, I want to make sure we hit once again on kind of the why of your appearance today. We love to prop up RailsTV, but Wednesday's a big day. Kids need fundraising. Blackwood's Proctor the place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we're looking at our trip costing us about $1,900 a kid. And again, we live in a time where prices are on the rise, and we are super thankful to anybody that's willing to come out and help us. But we'll be at Blackwood's. Well, we won't be because Mary has said, no, we'll take care of this for you. We're going to take this and do this fundraiser for you. 15% of all proceeds from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. will go to help us fund our trip. That's their airfare, their bus transportation, hotel, their fees at the conference. And these kids work their butts off. We just worked up at Super One in Pike Lake. So this is one of the first fundraisers we'll have for this group, that these kids aren't actually out there working, and then being able to have conversations with people to say how important this is to them and what it means to them to be able to go and actually get better at a craft that they find so remarkable in their life, that they spend every Monday after school of their own time for 2 hours coming to our practice sessions so that they can get better, so that they can represent not only Proctor but themselves and their classmates.
I love that. And Dave Cook, we've never quite had problems encouraging people to go to Blackwoods. So this week, Blackwoods Proctor is certainly the where you should go and help out these Proctor kids. The last question goes to you.
Yeah, I think, Ted, the one thing I want to make sure that people hear when we're talking about the fundraiser is that while we're talking about athletics, you're teaching kids across the board different skills in different situations. So you do council meetings, you do, like you said, concerts, things like that. So we're not simply pouring resources into athletics.
This isn't pigeonholed at all.
Right. So could you tell us again a little bit about the breadth of what the kids are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. This is not an athletics thing. This is real world work things. And again, these kids are coming into, it's like I like to say at the school, this is that underserved category. These are the artsy kids, the kids that only maybe have an art class.
I agree.
Well, this is digital arts. This is media arts. And this can take them so far. So, like, if you like to sit out there and watch anything on TV, whether it's a sitcom, a sporting event, a movie, whatever, imagine somebody in media arts created that. A team of people created that, and they had to have a start somewhere. And that start might have been in my class. That start might have been in a class up at Rock Ridge or out in California or down in Florida or at Carlsbad, California, whoever. And that's where they got their start. And this is the stuff that's going to help them get to where they need to be so that they can be that next big director or producer.
And keep those kids here.
I was going to say, I love all of that, but I can't escape the jealousy. These are all the classes I wish I could have taken in high school.
Right.
You probably could have saved me a lot of time in college, Ted, and everybody will tell you I was there way too long. But nobody can stay too long.
Some money too.
There you go. Speaking of money, nobody can stay too long at Blackwoods and Proctor. That's coming up on Wednesday. That is the 11th. Tell me the time frame again, Ted. We got to make sure we get there.
That'll be 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. At Proctor Blackwoods. And again, 15% of all the proceeds will go to help us fund our trip for our students.
So a 7-hour window to get to Blackwoods and Proctor, 7 hours at Blackwoods. That sounds like a day for me.
You got to eat anyway, right? So go eat there.
All right, Ted, we're bumping you out with Morning Train. Thank you for talking the rails with us on a Saturday morning. We love you. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks, boys. Love the program. Love everything you do for our community. Have a great Saturday.
Talk soon.
Same goes for you, my friend. That's Ted Kiefat, one of the best.
One of the best, absolutely.
And we close with one of the best former NFLers, Vencie Glenn, closes the show. We'll be right back.
Zaxby's Sensation Salad is so much more than a plain old salad. It's a salad, which begs the question, at what point does a salad stop being a salad and become a salad? Is it when you add Zaxby's fried chicken to it? Crunchy wontons? Asian slaw? Citrus vinaigrette? Teriyaki glaze? Sweet and spicy sauce? Or is it when you top it all with a handmade perfectly fried egg roll? Without a doubt, the egg roll. The Sensation Salad, only at Zaxby's.
Lots of friends of ours on this show today. That last guest, probably one of our best ones, Ted Kiefat of RailsTV. But when it comes to besties, not just you and me, Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook, we can put this next guy in that category as well.
Absolutely. Having the opportunity to talk to Vencie. How many people over time, Brian, have contacted you just in conversation and said, man, I love when you guys talk with Vencie specifically about football and not about the other stuff that goes around outside it, because
not about what he calls fan ball.
Right. So often we talk, just about all this, the make-believe stuff, the fun part, out there.
Right.
But we never, those folks that are hardcore football don't get this, and now we get to do this.
Well, and speaking of hardcore football, that's us, and I'm going to toot my own horn for a moment here because I definitely had a pinch me moment this week because Vencie texted me and said, hey, give me a shout. So randomly this week I did, and we talked for a couple minutes, and I said, all right, I'll talk to you Saturday. And as I hung up my phone, I stared at it because I have Vencie Glenn as a contact in my phone, and I went, what universe am I living in that I got to call one of my favorite former NFL players just to have a casual conversation on a Thursday?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 1,000%.
So the amount that he has meant to us is immeasurable, but his content is very measurable, and we'll go to it right now. 2-5, good morning. And he's gone.
The
grandest of introductions, and we lost him.
The gremlins
I'll tell you
got
what,
us.
I'll let you give a grand introduction to our sponsors, and we'll get him back.
All right, we're going to start with Arola Architecture Studio, the original, the place that kept the lights on during COVID. Hoops Brewing, ABS Auto Solutions, Stewart's Bike Sports and Trophies, Comfort Systems of Duluth, Advantage Emblem Screen Printing, Kohler Toyota and Kohler Hyundai, Mike Regan at Christensen Group Insurance, Assisted Living Locators. You can reach him at www.assistedlivinglocators.org/Duluth. Kraus Heating and Cooling, your carrier, HVAC authorized dealer. Mount Royal Bottle Shop and the Blackwoods Group, including their locations on London Road, Tavern on the Hill, Two Harbors, and Proctor specifically Wednesday from 3 to 10.
Absolutely. So after that grand introduction I gave Vencie Glenn, of which he heard none of, we will go to the drawing line segment with 25, courtesy of Arola Architecture Studio. I think we've got him. I hear him. Vencie, good morning again.
Good morning. I even heard Dave counting down.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there was nothing.
Yeah, what we didn't know is he was counting down to saying goodbye to you, apparently. Dave and you were in cahoots, and you didn't tell me at all.
That was funny, man. I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right. On-air production meeting, we survived. But I couldn't wait to talk to you this week because you've had no shortage of opinions on who we called number 8, who we now have to call number 18 because his number changed, but his team has changed as well. It's the Kirk Bowl tomorrow. You've been hard on this guy before. All of the things you've said negatively about him, I hope shine through tomorrow. But what do you think we're going to get?
I never said anything negative about the guy. I just said his play was negative.
Right. That's what I mean. That's what we need to see tomorrow.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys to do this for me in the state of Minnesota. If we let that dude, number 8, beat us, y'all call California Monday morning for a welfare check on Vencie Glenn, because I ain't going to make it.
That's fair.
I ain't going to make it, bro. I am not going to make it, man. And I've been waiting for this game for so long. And I hope our defense is just rested. He gave the Chargers 4 interceptions. I know we good for 2.5, as the bookies would say.
Well, I can appreciate that, and I hope you're right because, again, Kirk Cousins and mobility aren't exactly synonyms, and Brian Flores and closing the pocket on a quarterback, they are. That should be trouble for Kirk, but is it really that simple?
Well, you know he's going to be in the pocket. He knows where he wants to go with the ball.
Right.
He processes stuff real good. I'm not going to take anything away from him, as far as that. He processes things, so he knows where to go. He likes to visualize the field, especially down the middle. It'll really hurt you down the middle. So the pressure from the Vikings has to be up the middle. He's not going to run. You ain't got to worry about him getting outside. He'll move a little bit, to extend the play. But he's not going to be that run threat or anything like that. And he's not going to come back and try to prove that tomorrow, Sunday either. So the pressure has to be from up the middle, and you have to take away his pre-snap read. You can't let him know where he wants to go to the ball because he understands this team well.
Yeah, he does. He knows their talent for sure. Hey, Vencie, this might roll into that area of fan ball a little bit, but I don't really care about it from the fan point of view. I'm interested in from a player's point of view. So many of us, and I've read where they talk about not necessarily a revenge game, but a game where Kirk wants to show the Vikings they made a mistake. Is that a thing with a player in the locker room, or are they just wanting to win? And 2, is that something that a team can latch onto?
Yeah, absolutely. That is real. That is 100%. Oh, I definitely had it in me. Anybody, it's just the competition thing, bro. It's just always want to show that, hey, you made a mistake. You didn't believe in me. You didn't, for whatever reason. Maybe you didn't want to pay me the money, whatever it may be. And it's to show you, and I've been in that situation, and the team can pick up on that. They love, when you're a team, you love each other, bro. It's just it's different when you're on teams that just everybody doing their own thing, and a team that man, everybody cares about each other. Detroit Lions is a prime example of the NFL. They ought to be the poster child. The way they love each other and play, and they're built, and is building that in Minnesota as well.
Speaking of Minnesota, how do you expect the crowd to be tomorrow? Because Minnesota Nice is a thing, and I fully expect Kirk to get a round of applause, at least in the beginning. But it's going to be a little bit different once the game is going. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Vikings are 10-2. If they were 5-7, we might sit there and say, you know what, Kirk, we did make a mistake. We might be in a playoff picture if you were leading us instead of whatever Sam Darnold is. But this Viking team is right in the thick of it. I think it'll be hostile for Kirk. He said it himself.
It better be hostile, and it should be hostile. That's an opposing team. Let's stick to sports right now. That's an opposing team. We're on the verge of trying to get to the playoffs and possibly win the division as well. Man, ain't no love for nobody in there. I don't care who on that team. If your brother, sister, mama, daddy was on that team, hey, you be trying to get at them. That's the sport. That's the sport. That's competition.
See, Brian,
so
that's
the fans are going to be in it. Yeah.
That's one of the things over time I've learned from Vencie is that a game like this, all the color and wrapping paper that we've put on it for all the fun and games, the Vikings are in a spot where they have to say, screw that.
I know.
Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. This is all about, can we become the 4 seed or the 5 seed? This isn't about Kirk, even though all the noise is about Kirk.
Exactly. And I venture to guess that if Vencie would have been with us during segment 1 to open the show today, let's say he was here in the studio, he might have left because we played fan ball with segment 1 on purpose.
We sure did.
We definitely did. But I want to go to the safety position because Vencie, a lot of good safeties will be in this game. And I know that the way TV coverage goes, it's difficult to watch the safeties because they're so far downfield. But you've got Bates, you've got Simmons, you've got Harrison Smith. As a safety, aren't you wondering what they can do? Because 3 of the best right now.
Here's a good safety, and I'm going to tell you why those guys' names you call. They play within the scheme. It ain't about it. A real free safety, it ain't about you. You are the most unselfish guy on the team as a free safety, I think, being a free safety. You cover everybody's back. There are 10 guys in front of you. You have to call the defenses. Every time somebody moves, you have to make sure the checks are right. You have to understand personnel. You have to understand clock management. You have to understand situational football. You have to understand where your guys are. Are you tired or are you feeling good? It's just the guy that just tries to help hold everything together, and hopefully you got a great linebacker that can help out as well. But man, them guys out there just doing their jobs. That's what they get paid to do, and that's why you call their names. They're good at it. They don't get caught up into the hype. They're professionals. They've been there, and they're going to play at a high level tomorrow, and they're going to bring it. I think all 3 of them.
Absolutely. We certainly hope that the Vikings play at a high level tomorrow. Vencie, is this the time of year where you worry about the younger players? Because obviously the NFL season is longer than the collegiate season. It's December. December is kind of the money month in the NFL regular season. Do the veterans really have to step up and kind of guide younger players through? Or is it as simple as it's different being a rookie week 1 versus week 14?
I'm going to put it to you like this. If someone has kids and their kids are out cutting grass, making money at the age of 10, 11, and 12, you think you got to worry about them and making money or getting what they want? No. So the Vikings don't have to worry about them young guys. You're not 9-2 because, I think that's the record. You're 9-2, 10-2.
They're 10-2.
Because you're worried about young guys. Because you're worried about young guys. Young guys improve, they can play. You got 10 wins under your belt. You're just worried about your job. Obviously, the coach is there to get the young guys to play at a high level, and that's what teammates do. You don't worry about the other guy. You worry about your job and your position once you bring it to the table week in and week out. And if you do that, you'll probably be in good shape.
Now, Vencie, I know you're a guy that loves his California weather, but you also played for the Giants, you played for the Vikings, you played for the Patriots, cold weather areas, although obviously Minnesota plays indoors. How nice is it in your mind for this team right now to be inside in the month of December? Elements aren't going to play a factor for a while. They're in the midst of a 3-game homestand.
I used to lobby for practice indoors. They love them playing indoors. Man, the weather matters to a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys say, oh, they love it, it's fun and all this. Man, BS. BS. That's like saying, hey, man, Let's go swimming in the cold, in the ice, ice fishing and stuff. No, man, I don't want to do that stuff. It's cold. No, you want to be comfortable. You want to be focused. You don't want the weather, nothing to play the outcome of the game. And both sides feel the same way. Everybody likes playing indoors. Everybody likes being comfortable.
No doubt about that. You always make us comfortable on this show. We only got about a minute left, so if we can keep it simple, I know it's not about Kirk, it's about an opponent, but love it or hate it, tomorrow's going to be a lot about Kirk. Does familiarity mean anything? Because it's going to be brought up, but the fact is Atlanta plays a different offense. Brian Flores isn't going to run the exact same defense that Kirk has seen. His familiarity just overplayed?
No, man. He understands signals. He understands eye signals, and things like that. He knew the offense well. He knows this team. And just paying attention to cadences, paying attention to audibles, and all things like that matter. So all that matters in a football game with these mistakes.
Vencie, I appreciate you. You are the best. I'll tell you this. If the Vikes somehow drop this one tomorrow, I may call you right after the game. I'll do that wellness check. I'm not waiting until Monday.
Well, I hope I got my cell phone with me in the ambulance because I ain't going to be no good, y'all.
Make me your emergency contact. That'll fix that. We'll talk to you next Saturday. I appreciate you.
All right,
Thanks,
you guys be good. Sorry about the inconvenience.
Nah,
All
you're good. Never an inconvenience. That's our guy, Vencie Glenn. Thank you to him. Thank you to Ted Kiefat. Thank you to Tony O'Neill. Thank you, Dave Hoops. Thank you, Dave Cook.
Lots of stuff going on today, Brian. I got to run.
Time flies when you're having fun. Neither of us run well, but we're going to try. Lots of sports today, including high school hockey on this station. Tom Hansen, the man, the myth, the legend, will take you through it. We'll see you next week.
Ready to level up your career? Text DISH to 44043 now to dive into a world of exciting technician opportunities at DISH. From cutting-edge technology to a supportive work environment, DISH offers the perfect platform for your success. Connect with us today to discover how you can be part of a dynamic team driving innovation. Connect today and join the DISH family, where innovation meets opportunity. Text DISH to 44043 to kickstart your journey towards a rewarding career.